Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. I am Mike D. I'm here with my friends Alex Shear.
Hi, that's me. Oh my goodness. Good job, Mike.
Thank you. And Adam Rudy.
Hi, it's an honor.
Always an honor to be here.
He is our guest this evening, Adam Rudy. He's first-time podcaster with two experts of the craft. So that's why we're going to let him take over the entire show for just today. And
how did I meet Ray?
I think
Just kidding.
I think we invited Adam on as a guest for episode 1, and he just kind of stuck around and became a staple.
Yeah.
He wrote the theme song, and then he's decided, you know what?
And also all sound effects.
Yes,
and produced and edited every single episode, but I was just a guest. It was pretty presumptuous of me.
Yeah. Well, we're glad we have you now.
Yeah, we felt bad.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. It's like when you have a dinner party and the next thing you know, your guests are hanging shelves in your bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Then you have a breakfast party the next morning.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
What to you is a breakfast party?
To me, a breakfast party is just brunch.
Yeah, you ever been to IHOP? That's a breakfast party every day of the week.
It's the most aggressive way I've ever been asked if I've been to IHOP.
We're not sponsored by IHOP.
I was thinking about us here in the Barone Zone. We have a couple dozen floors of our tower available for renting because it's all empty.
There's the Dwayne Reed,
and
there's 97 floors. The garage on the 98th floor, and then we're on the 99th.
I thought we were on the 100th floor.
Oh, are we on
It goes back and forth. Don't forget that the first, that 2 through 5 were rented out for the filming of Paul Blart 3, which was feature-length.
Blartmageddon. That's right.
A feature-length parody of The Office starring Paul Blart.
We put way too much detail into the details of our building, honestly.
You mean revealed?
Yeah, that is what I mean.
So what I was getting at is I was considering adding or reaching out to IHOP, seeing if they wanted to take one of the floors. I was thinking like floor number 32 felt right for them.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw those faxes that you've been sending back and forth with them, but they politely declined and passed us off to D-Hop. That's the domestic house of pancakes.
That's stupid. But I see.
But they have a much lower... They're willing to pay a lot more for the rent. So I faxed on your behalf, and I said, you know what? We're going to plug you in at 48. So... it'll be a long walk for people to get up there because, the elevator only goes bottom to top.
Right. Well, it's appropriate because 48, it's the domestic house of pancakes. They only serve pancakes in the 48 continuous United
the lower
States.
48.
So therefore, you got to put it floor 48.
It is actually perfect.
Yeah, it's very appropriate.
You'll be hungry by the time you get up there because you will have walked up 48 flights of stairs.
Yeah, but the number of calories that are in a single pancake at D-Hop, that's going to clear it up.
They do mostly deep-fried pancakes, which is dangerous.
They're gonna talk about our building on like those like TikTok like 5-minute hack things. Like this D-Hop is gonna appear on one of those videos and be like, don't want to walk up the 48 stairs, take the elevator to the 100th floor and then walk down 52 stairs.
Better. You know what? You're right. That's it.
That's the life hack.
Well, we are here to talk today about Everybody Loves Raymond, and believe it or not, this episode does not feature a D-Hop.
Did you feel that conversation went on for a little too long, and that's why you needed to do a hard left turn back to what this show is about?
Because we're not going to allow it.
Believe it or not, I think your listeners came to listen about Raymond. I don't know if they care too much about the
don't
D-Hop.
worry. They already skipped ahead.
That is a good point. After we put that little timestamp in the description.
Right.
Yeah, our listen length has decreased, but our viewership has remained the same.
Yeah, that's
funny
right.
how that works.
Well, look, we've got like 96 floors to fill, so forgive me for doing a little bit of marketing for that. But
No, that's great. No,
I was gonna say, I have a feeling we'll find a way to fill them. We're at the biggest location limit. The
For now.
the Joker's guys aren't up to our standards yet, but they're building.
their atrium, I saw the plans, is beautiful.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Can I take the left turn now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. All right, but we are here to talk about Raymond, and Raymond does not go to a D-Hop or a Dwayne Reed or any of the 99 floors of the Barone Zone. No, in fact, in today's episode, season 1, episode 17, he plays a game with his family. What game was it, Adam? You found it. I thought this didn't exist.
The game is called, in the show, Scruples.
Scruples.
In life, it was called A Question of Scruples, and it
Scruples.
is a real game. And in fact, thanks to a guy on Twitter, his name is Dan Olson. He can be found at @FoldableHuman. He has no relation to us.
That's such a great URL. That's such a great URL. I'm sorry. What was his first name?
Dan.
Dan. Oh my God. Very, very well done.
He has no relation to this show, nor did he send us this. I found this through searching. He helpfully put up a couple of Scruples cards on Twitter. So I thought, because Ray and his family had such a great time playing Scruples together, and it really brought them together, I thought the three of us could do that, to strengthen our friendship.
Okay.
Good thing. I just can we just double check that these windows can't be broken by, say, a body being thrown against them before we play this game?
That's very specific. What did you do?
I'm saying if Mike gets angry at me, he's going to try and throw me out the window.
I could always open the window if they're not breakable.
Luckily, our windows are only breakable from the outside.
That's
you can break in, usually with a vehicle, but you cannot break out.
That would be a great prank if one day we just turned the windows around just to surprise Billy.
He bounced off. Billy pops up the Excite Bike ramp on his RAV4 and bounces off. Disappears as a pinprick into... I didn't have any, world building or Lindbrook descriptions planned for this episode, but that last sentence, you gotta go back and listen.
Sometimes it just happens, but yeah, no, that one you gotta research for.
Adam was all ready to cut this entire intro until that line. Sorry,
but
guys.
anyway, let's snap into this deck of Scruples here that Dan helpfully posted on Twitter. So I'll draw the first card. You guys have it open, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll draw the first card here, and this question is going to be for Mike for reasons that I think are obvious to everyone.
Oh,
no. If you know anything about Mike, you already know his answer to this question. While on a family vacation, your child gets chicken pox. You are anxious to return home by air. Do you expose the other passengers to this contagious disease? So we know given what we know about Mike and his attitude towards infectious diseases and, vaccinations, I thought this would be the perfect question.
What a completely irrelevant question.
What the? Okay, first of all, have I taken the anti-vax stand at any point during this? I'm not denying it. I'm just saying I thought that was going to be kept secret.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mike, please deny it.
Anyway, I would say... I would say that Darwin once said that only the strong survive.
Mike. God.
Well, I will say, in all honesty, I think that the chickenpox vaccine is very widely distributed. Well, then
and how do you feel
shingles.
about that?
We're not going to get into that. I could go on a whole other topic. I was gonna say screw it, but then I was like, shingles. That's a thing that exists for the older. I mean, I guess it depends, right? If I'm on Hawaii, then there's not really much of a choice. If I am 3 states over and could drive, maybe I guess I would do that. So that's my answer. That's what I'm sticking to.
That's a good answer.
Is it?
Well, I really wanted him to confirm on air that he is an anti-vaxxer, just so we can, because remember our first episode, we wanted that COVID-19 misinformation badge on Spotify.
Oh, that's right. This is how we get it. Is that what you're trying to? Well,
Mike is not an anti-vaxxer.
No, I am not. I am doing it only for certain vaccines and
Chickenpox only.
Chickenpox, I am not a fan of. Every other one is A-okay.
Get vaccinated.
Yes, true.
All right.
That's
so
a good
So
answer.
I can get vaccinated so I can take my kid with chickenpox on a plane.
Yeah, everyone else get vaccinated so that you don't have to.
True.
all right, Mike, do you want to go next since you were asked a
Sure.
question?
Sure. This is one that will not be relevant to any of us, but let's go to Adam.
Okay.
Adam, you are using a public phone. Someone else is waiting. Do you cut your call short?
In all honesty, no bid, I absolutely would.
I believe that
that
you
is
would.
one of my big social anxiety triggers is the feeling that I'm in somebody's way, which then translates to me being furious with people who are in my way. Like, don't you understand how terrible it feels when you're standing in the middle of the staircase and nobody can get by you? Don't you? Ugh. So yeah, I would absolutely be like, okay, all right, you pull the plug. All right, I gotta go. Bye.
like even today, I feel like if this situation happened today, it would be astonishing for a completely different reason. I was like, wow, 2 people on the planet need to use a public phone at the same time.
In the same place.
Impossible.
I would, and here's the difference. I think I would say I paid 25 whole cents for this call. I'm going to see it all the way through. I'm probably with you. I've obviously never been in that situation, but I have cut my call short when I'm standing, not even in a train, on a train track, and I get dirty looks from people. I've cut my call short during that, so I would probably follow suit with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll ask the next question to Alex then.
Goody.
You buy a video store where X-rated videos are among the best sellers. Do you continue to sell them?
Here's the thing, right? If I own a video store, I messed up at some point and I need all the help I can get. They're coming for, streaming is coming for us. Porn.
Yeah, this is an interesting
Netflix.
situation.
Very
isn't
good
it?
point.
I need everything I can get. I need to not even stopping at just the X-rated videos. I need to supply snacks, fuel,
Fuel.
the Gatorades and carbs to keep people going.
That kind of fuel. I thought
Yeah,
you meant literally installing gas pumps out front.
That's actually a good. Oh my goodness! Could you imagine a pump and dump?
Oh my God.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
That was
yeah.
good.
So my answer is yes for that reason.
I am surprised by how much these questions aged.
Yeah.
So far we've got chicken pox, which I guess is
Still
still around,
exists.
but it's I've never had it's less of an issue. We
Most
got
people
video
have been
stores,
vaccinated for it. So
Yeah, video stores, payphones. Yeah. a lot of
Yeah, I would like to see this an updated version of this game, but
believe, according to the Wikipedia page for this game, the last version was the Millennium Edition. So I don't know if if they were
goodness.
late on that or if there hasn't been a new version of Scruples for 20
Did
years.
they misspell millennial? Is that possible?
Yeah, the Millennial Edition, it's all about iced coffee and
Yes.
anal sex.
Yes.
Yes.
You're $3,000 behind on your rent, but you want avocado toast. Do you make the purchase? All right, I'll ask this one to Mike.
Okay.
Your boss, who has a drinking problem, is in the hospital. Shout out to Mike's boss. He asks you to smuggle a bottle to him. Alcohol might interfere with the treatment. Do you oblige?
What the fuck?
Holy shit.
I mean, I got a few questions about this one.
Right.
First and foremost, am I that close with my boss that I buy them beer I mean, the answer is no, right? Like, why would the answer ever be yes? I don't think that I could come up with any justification.
More context is needed. First of all, is he in the hospital because of his drinking problem, or is it an unrelated injury? And then also, what power is he threatening to fire you if you don't bring him a bottle of alcohol? And if
also,
so, why don't you go over his head and say, hey, my boss is trying to get me to smuggle him alcohol.
You could also...
Is this like end of care? It's like he wants one last drink before the end.
This could also be like a power game
In that
thing.
case, yes.
In that case, I don't see the problem with it. But yeah.
I mean, like, look, if like he really can't have alcohol and like something like it would kill him, and you wanted to power game your way up the corporate ladder, like, I mean, who are you to stand in his way?
Listen, it's a cutthroat world out there. We've all seen Wolf of Wall Street.
And okay, just for that,
We've all seen Wolf of Wall Street.
For the one guy out there who's thinking about it, I am not condoning you to kill your boss. If you use this as evidence in your trial, I am condoning you.
Could you
bad?
So to recap, Mike is pro-vax and Alex is anti-murder, and that's the real truth.
That's the real truth.
Yeah, put that. Yeah,
That's could you imagine, like, the one reason this show makes headlines is because it's presented in evidence, and that one line is what saves us from legal liability.
Honestly, this is Scruple's fault if
That's true.
If that happens, like passing the blame torch right onto him.
Let's you asked that of Mike?
Yeah, Mike, do you want to do one
Mike,
more?
I want you to read the very next one.
The next one. All right. I guess this will go to who? I guess everybody's only answered one. I guess this will go to Alex.
Oh, name it. No.
Alex, a close friend, has AIDS. He loses his job and his friends. He asks you for a place to stay. Do you let him in?
Yes. Because AIDS is not contagious.
Yeah.
Unless you have sex with the person.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. They're better.
And I will just not have sex with this person.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to laugh at AIDS. I just meant
You're laughing at this being a serious question.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Of course.
Like
is this with this question?
I
don't-
get it though, right? Like this was I mean, I don't know when this version was released, but there was a lot of bullshit around HIV and AIDS in the past.
There was a lot
yeah.
that wasn't known. I mean, would this question be if this was published in 2020?
It would be the question about COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And
in that case, I would say no, unless they're masked up and I have like 10 bedrooms and I could stick them in the furthest one.
No for 2 weeks.
No for 2
No,
weeks.
But then,
weeks.
yes.
All right, are we done with
let's give.
Adam, do you want
Adam
one more?
Yeah, give me one more. Not the very next one, but go 2 down.
You piece
I
of
see.
shit.
Okay.
You piece of shit.
Mike, do you want to read this one?
You're in an airplane that develops engine trouble. As the plane plummets, you vow to donate $5,000 to Mother Teresa if you are saved. You land safely. Do you keep your vow?
Absolutely not. I'll give $5,000 to the people in need, but what the fuck does Mother Teresa need my $5,000 for?
Yeah, she's dead.
It's
I like this game.
yeah, this game is great. I guess I meant in the abstract. Why would I give money directly to Mother Teresa?
Oh my god.
She's gonna get a lease on a new Kia Sorento.
That's
so
that's
That's scruples.
that's scruples.
what do you have something to say about Kia Sorentos out?
I feel like whenever you bring up a car, it's always a Kia Sorento.
It's a Kia Sorento or a Toyota Corolla. Yeah.
Ah, there it is. Yeah. I feel like I have that like audio clip of you just saying Kia Sorento in my mind.
So that's Scruples. Thank you again to Dan Olson at Foldable Human on Twitter for posting that at the end on New Year's Eve 2018.
Oh,
I just
wow.
noticed.
And it went into January 1st, 2019. Look at that.
Someone tag him. See if he's creeped out.
Yeah.
I certainly
Give him
feel closer to you guys.
Our thanks. Yeah, that one didn't devolve into violence, so I think that just means we're a more functional family than the Barones.
Which is like a very low bar, but I mean, it is a bar.
It is.
Speaking of Barones, one of the features of this show, or segments, I should say, is a little something called Remembrances.
Oh my God, we spent so much time on Scruples,
I know.
and I totally forgot about Remembrances. Oh, Jesus.
We'll cut it down.
Okay.
A feature of this show is a little something called Remembrances, and that is a artifact, a video or an article or an image of the cast of Everybody Loves Raymond out there in the world doing other things, be they other appearances in film and TV, or maybe just walking around.
All right.
Period.
Yeah.
We received another remembrance through the old Raymond at postfun.info mailbox. Send us remembrances to that, or send us Judge Deborah's for another one of our segments. But this one is from Ali Hadi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Hi, guys. Love the podcast and thought I owed it to Ray to contribute. This is one of the first instances I noted of an ELR actor outside of ELR, and that was Brad Garrett in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Really?
I didn't know he made an appearance.
He played a hitman, so I guess it's an alternate reality where Robert was a bit too trigger-happy. I hope you have some fun with it.
Oh my God.
You know what? Is this worth spinning off into a Baroness?
It might be. It very well
If
might be.
We'd have to
might
watch
have
the
to
whole
revisit
thing.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to revisit this, but again, it's cool to see Brad playing pretty much the same character. It's sort of like Dark Robert, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
He's got the same voice.
It's
Yeah.
Wall Robert.
it's what?
Wall Robert,
I got it.
instead of
Yeah.
Wario.
Wobbert.
Yeah.
Instead of Waluigi. It's Wall Robert. Wobbert? Yeah, Wobbert's
Wobbert,
better.
yeah.
Wobbert's way better.
It's not Wamario and Waluigi.
Well, it is
It is
Waluigi.
Waluigi.
Wobbert.
It
Oh
is-
no, you're right.
yeah,
It is.
It is Waluigi.
I guess. Well, they're two different
Why
naming
isn't he
conventions.
called
with the-
Luigi?
Why
Yeah, he
isn't it
should be
called
Waluigi.
Luigi. Luigi.
We'll cut this.
y-
But
why?
thanks.
Why?
It's so good.
I think what we've decided based on this remembrance here is that we are sufficiently titillated that we may revisit this in a Baroness episode down the
Yeah,
line.
absolutely.
Because it's very enticing.
It has
a
There's
lot of-
so many unanswered questions.
There's a lot going on.
There's a
here.
lot of potential. There's a lot of room for headcanon, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
All right. On that, so thank you so much for sending that in. And send in more remembrances, everybody. Raymond at postfun.info, Facebook, Instagram, however you can get in touch with us, please do so. With that titillating tease, though, we'll hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back to break down Season 1, Episode 18. It's called, Season 1, Episode
There
17.
you go.
It's called The Game. We will be right back.
One Password is the world's most loved password manager. It's the easiest way to store and use strong passwords, allowing you to log into sites and fill forms securely with a single click. Try it free for 14 days and support this show in the process by visiting 1Password through postfun.info/ads. That is postfun.info/ads. And when you get there, let them know that Raymond sent you. Welcome back from the break. Once again, I am Alex Shear. I'm joined here with Mikey D and Adam Rudy.
That's right.
That's us. That is indeed us. And we'll begin today by breaking down Season 1, Episode 17 of Everybody Loves Raymond, entitled The Game. General takeaways from this episode, guys?
2 thumbs up. I loved it. I thought it was a really fun episode. I was enthralled the entire time, and I think of the episodes we've seen, this one's in my top 3. Easy.
This is definitely one that I remember that, like, sticks out. Like, I've remembered scenes from a couple other episodes, and, like, they've sort of been in my sort of headspace of what Everybody Loves Raymond looks like, sounds like, and feels like. This is like a quintessential episode, I feel like.
I would definitely agree. I also remembered this one very, very well from when I was younger. But yeah, I think this had a lot of really, really funny moments. I think it was a very well done episode.
I straight up didn't remember it. Like,
Oh.
we've talked about our Raymond experiences a couple times now, but you know, I binged the whole thing when I was an adult. Or you know, sorry, excuse for one, and I really just blasted through them. So like, you know, I don't remember a lot of these, and this one just does not stick out in my mind at all, or it didn't. And watching it now, I really liked it. I think anytime you can have just an episode where it's really just your 5 leads just sitting down doing something, basically just talking the whole time, and it's just completely insanely entertaining. It just means you have a really powerful cast.
This almost felt like what's the word for that kind of episode where it's like
A bottle episode.
A bottle episode. It almost felt like a bottle episode, which it really wasn't, because like all Everybody Lives Raymond episodes happen in one of 3 sets, but at the same time,
we didn't go to the
basically,
bedroom. We didn't go to Marie and Frank's house, though, so it really was only the main set.
This one could have been a play.
The only time it cut away was during the Inchworm song. But outside of that,
that's right.
Outside of that, everything else happened within the living room and kitchen of Raymond's house.
We'll talk about that, but again, like one of those great Raymond moments of like joke, and then heartfelt, like, you know, real, like, nice moment.
Kind of like serious, kind of like artistic, just like sweet, and then just bam, right back into it. I enjoyed that part as well.
So let's go ahead and start breaking it down then, because it is a great episode. You know, no spoilers for the barometer, because we'll talk about how Ray himself as a man was in this episode.
These reviews do not... you know,
these are episode reviews.
It's not a review of Raymond himself. No, that will be more interesting than all thumbs up, I assume.
Certainly nuanced takes on that. But let's go ahead into our cold open, if we can even call it that. So we come in on the house. It is raining, and Deborah is folding the laundry, and then Ray comes down. He was putting Michael to sleep, and he goes through. He finally got him down. He fed him. He rocked him, and then Michael looked at him and said, essentially, gave him a look that said, "Is that all you got?" And that smacked of stand up to me.
It
for
did
sure.
a little bit.
That's
There were a
definitely...
couple things in this that felt very stand up-y.
Yeah, I would say there were a couple of moments like, but we talked about that. Like, a lot of the cold opens are taken right from the stand-up. I don't remember ever seeing that, but it did feel like a one-off standalone joke.
That's definitely one of Ray Romano's like opening jokes when he does stand up somewhere. I would imagine, if I had to guess.
I think we should do a field trip, the 3 of us, to he's
see
ever
Ray Romano
performing. Sit in the front row.
Genuinely, that would be
fun. Super fun. We could deduct it on our taxes, and it would be a good time.
It would be.
Make a show out of it. Bonus episode.
But yeah, and then he sits down and immediately turns on the television set. And Deborah seems to be a little bit offended by it. I don't know if you wanted to do a sports guy thing for this, but...
About the history of ESPN?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that, but we heard through the TV that it was the Toronto Blue Jays at the New York Yankees. And
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, Mike, I'm surprised that I'm not surprised. Of course you noticed that.
Yeah.
Do you know this exact game? Because I would be interested to hear that.
No, because I was actually thinking about it, and I was really, really confused for two reasons. Number one, in the last episode we saw was the Valentine's Day episode, right?
Right.
The MLB season typically does not start until April. So did we skip 2 months, or did they not pay attention to that stuff?
I think only the following episodes will tell.
Yeah, that's
because April showers, am I right?
true. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what I thought. I guess I can stop that.
So maybe we just had a time jump.
I was just gonna, and then the second thing is, the Yankees. It said Toronto Blue Jays at Yankees, which this could be reversed, but typically that means that the Blue Jays are playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, which is in the Bronx, which theoretically should mean the game should be rained out, given what we see around them.
Oh.
Yeah, then why would they be so desperate to turn the TV back on if the game would probably be rained out anyway?
I don't know.
So what you're saying is this game, which can't have possibly happened, was somehow not rained out, and
Unless they were playing
also
in Toronto, in which case the broadcaster messed up. That's the only situation that I could imagine.
So you think that's more likely?
I think that's more likely.
That a man was fired that day.
That the broadcaster messed up the words. Yeah, I actually do.
Okay.
I think that's more likely.
So Ray turns the TV on, and then the cable goes out. He gets up to try to fix it, and Deborah does a funny little bit where she gets him to do all these little tricks, like, tap it with the remote, rub it on the sides, and then as he's rubbing it, she's like, getting excited, huh?
Deborah had some good jabs this episode.
Yeah.
She really did. She really,
That was
really
a really
did.
funny bit.
I love it. Yeah, I agree. I think then Ray followed up with the line of, you're getting jealous, huh? And then just continues to desperately try to get the TV working again.
There's those like wholesome little marriage moments where they just mess with each other like that. Is just like, it's nice. And then
It's fun.
And then the issues happen.
Yeah, and then everything else. So
It's
Ray
a
is
great analogy for life. It's nice, and then things happen.
So Ray is despairing about the cable being out, and Deborah, I think she says something to the effect of, "It's not the end of the world." And then Frank bursts through the door. He's holding a giant sandwich, and he says, "Your TV's out too, sweet mother of God." And then, as fast as he came in, he bursts out of the house.
Which just being the agent of chaos he is, I just so fun.
It was great.
So funny.
And then we get an ad break, and then we're just back in the there is no intro at all.
I was
in
actually
going to
ask that. Did I miss it? They just didn't do one.
No, they put the credits over the cold open.
Oh, weird.
Maybe this was maybe they hired a new writer who just got out of art school and you got any ideas? They're like, whoa, do I? No intro for this one.
No conveyor belt, no place set. I don't like any of them. We're going to do nothing.
I'm not
I
sure.
bet it was, we need 35 more seconds for
Yeah.
the
It's a
22-minute
timing thing.
constraint. It was unfathomable that they wouldn't sell one of those ad slots and have a slightly longer episode. But sure, let's cut out the intro, which honestly, it's nice to have a break.
It is, actually.
From
I do agree.
the whiplash of going back and forth between the two. But we come right back. We're still in the living room. Ray is waiting for the TV to come back, or the cable to come back. And Deborah suggests the very normal suggestion of, why don't we just sit and talk and have a conversation? And Ray's immediately suspicious of this. He thinks it's a trap. He asks, what's wrong? Which is, not speaking of Ray's performance in this episode, it's like, what a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, he really sells the man-child in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, the thought process of Ray Barone here is that of a 10-year-old who thinks that they're about to be found out from like sneaking like milk straight out of the carton.
I will also put out there, this is just kind of like a tangential thought that I had, because you're right. On the one hand, what a dick that Ray would say that, but also, like, they don't really touch on the fact that, like, his job is to watch sports. Like, it throughout this first season, maybe this changes later on, they basically do Ray man like sport, but like they very rarely mention the fact that like he's got to go to work tomorrow and write about this game. I feel like there are much bigger stakes for Ray here that he either doesn't care about or they just don't bring up.
That's a great point, Mike, and I feel the only reason they do not bring that up is either they forgot, which I honestly doubt. I think it's really just like to keep the relatability for everyday viewers.
Well, also, if the stakes of this episode are Ray needs to watch this game more than Ray just wants to watch TV, then the episode has to be about, you know, if Ray needs to watch this game for work, then he needs to find different ways to watch the game.
Yeah, then it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
In that case.
It doesn't become there's nothing to do, so we need to find an activity, and then we get to the game, and then we get to the conflict and all of that. So it's interesting to see the two paths. Like, I feel like that's a pretty typical sitcom plot, right? Of finding, of having an objective and then finding different ways to, you know, overcome obstacles to achieve that objective is a very typical sitcom plot. Whereas this is really more, they took the path of this really being more just about the family dynamic. And I feel like this is really the first time that we see the Barones in all their glory. Like, there's been little conflicts here and there. And
they are unleashed.
This is them all stuck in a room together, nothing to do but go absolutely nuts on each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to also just bring this up closer to the beginning of the episode, but this is just something I was thinking about the whole time, where it's like, if you just replace the word cable with Wi-Fi, like we still have the same exact issues today.
Exactly.
It's just, you know, same game, different name. And before that, you know, it's like before TV, it's like the radio's out. And before that, it's like the newspaper boy's late.
The newspaper's out. What will we do?
I mean, yeah, you're right. It is like this. I was actually thinking, I was like, this is a very millennial plot to happen in the 90s, because like you could do something similar, just like millennials don't know what to do if there are no phones. And
I think it's a very boomer take on millennial plot.
I think
that's
that is
exactly
it's
what
about
I meant.
Wi-Fi.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Don't
what I
get it
meant.
wrong. It's a bullshit claim, because basically all of humanity for at least the last 100 years have relied on some form of like media to keep them occupied, and
Yeah.
it has evolved over time.
I mean, to be clear,
It has gotten better. No.
I mean, I'm also not saying that like I'm sure that even back then the majority of real people would be able to deal with the TV being out. It's just I just was trying to say, like,
Yeah.
I like changed, coming off of your point, changed 2 or 3 details, and this episode could have happened today.
I'm
That's what I
sure
was
this
trying to get at.
episode has happened on other shows, maybe not with the same outcome, not with it being about the family dynamic, but I'm sure, you know, the Wi-Fi out or the TV out or cable out problem has been at the center of a lot of sitcom episodes.
And
this is
even-
very relatable.
And even, real life, like this exact situation happened to me and my family a couple of years ago. I mean, Mike, you might remember there was a big storm here, like
There are a lot of storms.
Yeah, that's true. But there was a particular
Safe
storm.
to say the most in the country.
Yeah. There was a
I
lot.
don't know.
There was a big storm on the Long of Island in like mid 2020, like right as the COVID pandemic was hitting up, and I lost like Wi-Fi for like a week, and I felt like I could do nothing. And watching this episode kind of brought me back to that time.
Yeah. It's very, very relatable. Although I will say they don't lose power. And Marie
True.
even brings up, you know, the possibility of watching a DVD, which actually we don't. I mean, speaking for me specifically, if I wasn't able to stream, I wouldn't be able to watch anything. because I don't have a DVD player. I don't have any.
Ooh, that's interesting. Alex, I know you have a big collection of like DVDs and stuff, and you bought me some too for like birthdays and stuff like that. But I don't know if we have any way to watch them.
I have a PS5, bro.
Oh, true. There you go.
I can play any DVD I want.
There you go. Double up.
But
Get out of here with your non-physical, moving forward.
I'm not a gamer. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
But I think for this episode, it's interesting that no one ever at any point is like, okay, I'm just going to go off and read a book, or I'm going to go get on the exercise bike, or any number of things that you can do besides TV that aren't talking to each other.
I'm going to turn on the radio and listen to the game we're trying to watch.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what I was like screaming at. It's like, John Sterling's a masterman. Nothing.
And like I can like kind of understand the one-track mind of Ray in this situation where, I mean, not to this extent, but like if I'm like doing stuff all day and I'm just like, oh boy, I can't wait to finally be done so I can go watch this one thing or go do this one thing at the end of the day, and then it happens and I can't do that, then like my mind, it's like that's all I can think about is like, man, I really wish I was doing this right now because I've been thinking about it all day. If that makes sense.
It does.
Well, yeah, I think part of what Ray's reaction here is mourning the missing out on something. I don't think the degree to which he is anti-interfacing with his family is relatable.
No.
I think he is being really immature and like, there's no other word for it than a dick, because he's just like, just talk to your wife. God damn it.
And I mean, I will say, Frank does the exact same thing. Not to say that that's like, an excuse, but it's just like
the parallel is there.
Yeah. Exactly.
He learned it from him.
It's not the excuse, it's the explanation.
Exactly.
That being said, I did really enjoy, because I don't think we got to this point, but like after the cable is out and Ray gives up on talking to Deborah because he realizes there is not an emergency happening, Frank and Maurice storm in, and the desperation
wait.
Oh wait,
you missed a very important part. We got another instance of Horn Dog Ray.
Right.
Oh shit! What am I doing?
And Deborra had like one of the most clever solutions I've ever heard in a sitcom.
Yeah, let's plug this in.
I apologize.
No,
I was excited
okay.
for one part, but yeah, we'll get there soon.
Hold on to your hat, and everything else. But yeah, eventually Ray agrees to talking, as if it's the most painful thing in the world. He agrees to talking, but he doesn't want to initiate the conversation. Deborah asks him what he wants to talk about, and this is extremely upsetting to him. But he pivots to suggesting, there's something else that we can do while the cable's out. He suggests that they bang, not just bang, but bang downstairs this time.
Is that a euphemism?
I thought that was some
I
euphemism.
certainly hope not.
No, I thought he was saying we can show your love for each other, especially downstairs. I thought that he was saying, in the below the belt. I thought that's what he was hinting at more than.
I thought that the sex part was pretty explicit.
Okay.
I thought maybe it was just excitement about banging in the living room.
I do agree with that, 'cause especially with kids like running around, like it's like, if you get out of the parent bedroom, like bam, that's it. But you gotta lock those doors, Barones. Otherwise, you're gonna get interrupted.
Yeah, lock the kids into their bedrooms. So
I was talking about the parents of Ray.
I believe the last time they tried to do it in the living room, Robert pulled the gun on him.
Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
I want to say, when Ray suggests sex, first of all, like, that's not inherently a bad thing, but just the way he goes about it after, like, no talk, must have sex, like that's the part that's shitty. But
no emotional intimacy.
Yes,
no
only
communicating.
Physical intimacy for Ray, and that's a common thread that we have seen from him these last 17 episodes. But Deborah has like a solution that I thought was just so clever. She was like, all right, I'll tell you what, I will have sex with you when the cable comes back on.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's the perfect solution here.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just so freaking funny. I don't know why.
Think it's, I feel like we're supposed to relate to Ray in this show, but it really highlights the fact that any reasonable person would not relate to Ray in this situation. Like, of course, you would want to go be intimate with your partner or spend time with your partner instead of, watching TV. TV will always be there. Cherish the moments you have with your loved one. But just laying it out like that, like, these are your options. We can go have sex, or you can watch TV.
And it's a tough call for him.
Yeah, and that's the sad part.
That's the sad part.
That's the real core of sadness to this episode.
We'll
and it's there. Weird, and we'll get to it as we go along. Like, the drive that, like, the obsession that Ray has for watching this game is like, it's isn't it to a level that struck you as almost perverse?
Because I was gonna say, like, if it's a big game, but it's like, if this is April, this is like game number 3. It's not even an important one. But again, I guess I was also coming at it from a perspective of, like, Ray's job performance depends on him seeing it, but they're not playing into that angle, so I don't think it's fair for me to put that on.
I think we can assume that for whatever reason, Ray's not covering this game or any game that's happening tonight,
right?
And he wants to watch it just because he likes the game,
right?
The main thing that triggers that discomfort for me about this situation is Ray turning to the TV after Deborah leaves. He says, okay, we'll do it then. And then he turns to the TV and he says, but I'll be thinking of you, which I know is a joke. I understand that it's a funny joke. Yeah. But all of Ray's behavior in this episode suggests that there might be a possibility.
That he might actually be thinking of the TV.
He might be thinking about this beautiful tube TV from the mid-90s. Mm-hmm. But we have this after they make the deal, we get like a fade into the kitchen, which is, again, we're in like a bottle episode where we're only using this one set. But that's a cool way to show the passage of time, I thought. Ray, this is the other thing that struck me as a stand-up bit, is Ray goes into this bit about the twins' schedule, and Deborah's like, we gotta keep them on the schedule. And it's pretty funny. He, I don't remember any of the
Ran up
specific.
the nose at 11.
Yeah.
Running around screaming something at 1.
Ladle.
Yeah.
Ladle. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
It was a good joke.
At this point, Frank and Marie come in from the rain, and Frank asks Ray if he called the cable company, and Ray says, "Didn't you?" And then they launch into a frantic dialing the cable company fit, and Ray reveals... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought it was really, really funny, the utter desperation that they showed. I believe Frank's line of, like, if it's busy, call 911. I loved that.
I liked his little line of, I'll prepare the phone.
Yeah. And then Deborah calling it out was also, prepare the phone.
Yeah.
But Ray gets on the phone with the cable company, and he reveals his address is 320 Fowler.
Yes.
Now, there's a couple of things wrong with this, according to the IMDb trivia, is that there is no such address in Lynbrook, and the house in later episodes says 315.
So, we can cut this out later if this is too much information. Fowler is a street that is in Lynbrook, but the houses there are double digits only. So the fact that it's not, I always thought, when I remembered back, I thought it was 20 Fowler Avenue, which is a real location, but 320 is not.
Yeah, and we could see it from here, right out the window over there. That's Fowler.
Yeah, there it is.
Right. It's the only one with like a neon sign. It's that, that picture of Ray waving. It's the neon goes back and forth between the two Rays, and it says birthplace of Ray Romano on it, which is a lie, but it's good for tourism.
It's very good for tourists. We
Limerick-
get a whole
yeah.
3 tourists a year specifically to that house.
Limerick's a pretty, it's not the cheapest place in the world to live, but like if you want to live in Limerick, because of that neon sign, every house on Fowler Avenue is super not expensive because
That's
you
true.
cannot sleep through it.
But
it is so bright.
You make up the difference, like the savings in cost, in the number of blackout curtains that you have to buy, because one won't do it. You need to put 3 or 4 of those bad boys up on your rod.
And sleeping masks and earmuffs for the hourly announcements of the time as voiced by Ray Romano.
Time and temperature.
It is now 1 o'clock. Deborah!
Yep, that's true.
That's right.
But
Don't
Robert,
look it up. We know.
Robert
That's
enters.
I was gonna say grandfather clock, but that doesn't work. Cut that joke.
Okay, I certainly will. At this point, Robert enters, and with the single line of cables out, and then he has a pretty funny bit about as a cop, he doesn't like it when the cable goes out. Cable goes out, people get edgy, he says.
Don't forget in the summer, and then you might as well go downstairs and what was that? Close your blinds, something like that.
Yeah,
basically like
essentially
hide out.
like hunker down.
Yeah.
But then he pivots in an alarming way to, should we rent a movie? And
Which I
everyone
thought was
thinks that's a pretty good idea.
The question is, right? Like, it's 97. You have to go to the place to rent the movie, and it's pouring rain. Like who's gonna make that drive?
I mean,
In
I
our
would.
experience, I mean, there's one person in Limbrook who definitely shouldn't drive
Agreed.
in the rain because of a certain tendency that he has to drive through living rooms. But I think Frank and Marie, or Frank, Ray, Robert, any of them could manage.
there are literally
driving
5
through the rain.
possible drivers that could go to the video store.
That's right.
What
but
movie
Marie,
does- yeah.
well, Marie suggests that they watch Beaches. She says, I wouldn't mind seeing that again. And then Frank says, I would mind. Beaches is a 1988 drama. It was directed by Gary Marshall, who created Happy Days. He directed a number of films. I think his last film was Mother's Day, the sequel to New Year's Day, which is the sequel to Valentine's Day. So the Dayaverse.
Which is the sequel to Groundhog Day, which is the sequel to...
That's right.
He's just working through the year.
It starred Bette Midler, and the synopsis is: a privileged rich debutante and a cynical, struggling entertainer share a turbulent but strong childhood friendship over the years. It was also referenced in an episode of Seinfeld, The Understudy, which was the 24th episode of the 6th season.
How did Beaches do on Rotten Tomatoes?
How did Beaches do on Rotten Tomatoes? Let me tell you. Rotten Tomatoes, Beaches, it has a 43%.
Oh, it sounds like it's not a great movie.
Sounds like the
43%
majority agrees with Frank and not Marie.
43% tomato meter, so critics, 88% audience.
Oh, okay. So-
Popular with the fans,
Yeah.
not popular with the critics.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, a classic movie of the time. It's about 9 years old at this point, but it's out on VHS and Marie wants to watch it. But that gets shot down, so Marie suggests that they play a game. And then
and Robert and Deborah seem very, very excited by this idea.
Ray does not want to play a game
No, he doesn't.
until the prospect of sitting and having a conversation with his family is brought up. Then he's like, let's play that game.
I don't blame Ray entirely. Like, family game nights can lead to more drama, especially when just talking is scary for you.
Yeah.
Family game night is like talking deluxe.
Talking Deluxe. Get it in the game aisle. I opened the wrong app. I want to... okay, so... this is an interesting scene that comes up next, or an interesting exchange, because Deborah starts going through their game closet, And she's like, what should we play? And Robert is like, what about Scruples? And Deborah is like, I don't think we have that one, Robert. And then Robert says, I gave it to you for Christmas 2 years ago. And then Deborah says, oh, here it is. We love this game. And then Robert is incensed. He says the shrink wrap is still on. And then he has a bit of a short circuit. So I want to play you what he does.
The short circuit.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, thanks, Robert. Thanks for the gift. You have such great taste. You can't even take up the street back to play one of the games over there. Come on, no.
He does like a little Porky Pig there.
Yeah.
I
think, is that something that he does again in the show? Like
He
go
does it
into
a
that
couple
like
times.
freak out mode?
I think he does it a couple times. I feel like I remember seeing it more than once, but I don't know for sure though.
It's pretty funny. I think it's, I'd love to have seen the rehearsal of that where he gets it just right.
I agree.
Could have been
But,
improv.
Yeah, I certainly hope it was. But they decide, and maybe as a concession of Robert, to play Scruples. And then Robert sits down and prepares to go through the rules. He, of course, chins the instruction booklet. Frank doesn't want to hear the rules. He wants him to just get on with it. But Robert starts explaining the premise of Scruples, which is that each card has a moral quandary. And he continues to get cut off as he goes through the rules. And Deborah suggests that they just learn as they play. And this Robert, I love the tension that Robert and Deborah have in this scene, because he gives her this look that is just withering. But Deborah asks the first moral quandary of Marie, and it is about you're a 50s Hollywood starlet, and to make some money now that your star has waned, would you endorse adult diapers?
And Marie, understandably, freaks out at the implication that she would ever need and or be someone that would endorse adult diapers.
Now, here's the real question I have for you guys, because
I would. I would wear one on television right now.
I was in I and my fiance were in the feminine products aisle in Target, and that shares some shelf space with the Depends section. And I had a lot of respect for most of the models on those are older people, but there's one that's just a young guy, maybe 30, and I was like, good for you, getting that paycheck.
Yeah,
doing
he needed that money.
doing what
Yeah.
you need to do.
Sorry, what was your actual
Yeah,
question?
what was your question, Alex?
Yeah, here's a question that I am pondering. For you loyal listener, who listened to the whole show, you may have heard us play Scruple in the first half of the show. My question to you two is: do you think that these questions that the Barons are asking each other, are they real questions in the game?
That's a good question. I don't think.
They might have been hand selected by Foldable Human, the ones that we read, to show how much the game has aged.
Yeah,
but
I believe that was the premise of his thread.
Right, but I guess my point is are all the questions like that, or is it just the ones that he chose?
I saw a couple other ones while I was looking around for, to be honest, a free copy of this game that somebody had scanned and put up on the internet. But some of them are a lot more benign and patently obvious that, yeah, of course I would do that, or no, of course I wouldn't do that. I think there's some artistic license here, especially, considering the dynamic of the characters. But then again, I think they did 150 cards for each edition of this game, and I think there were four or five editions, and then the last edition had bonus cards as well. So there are 1,000 cards that, I wouldn't be surprised if some version of these questions was in the Millennium Edition of Scruples, which we haven't asked you to, our show is not behind a paywall. We humbly read ads every week, but as far as monetary contributions to this show go, please send us money so that we can purchase the Millennium Edition of Scrooge.
I was
It
just
will
gonna
be a Baroness episode.
I was just gonna say, why not just, if you have the Millennium Edition of Scruples, just send that to us.
That also, we would also
that
accept
would be
that.
No, I think we should get money, and then, the price of Scruples has gone up in the past several years. It's about $10,000.
This is not very scrupulous of you, Adam.
I would, like, outside the bit, I would love to just do a full, like, hour Baroness episode where we just play Scruples with each other.
That would be a good time. I agree. But yeah, so Marie becomes indignant that she would even be asked this question. She refuses to answer it. Everybody tries to get her to say yes or no, and she refuses to. I feel like there was a punchline.
Frank says that he would, and he would model them on TV and all that because he's got, in his words, scruples the size of basketballs, which I thought was pretty funny. His use of the word.
And Frank was kind of throughout from when they started the game of Scruples up until a little bit later, Frank was acting all high and mighty, like, oh, he has never done a wrong in the world, obviously setting up for a punchline where he in fact did do wrong. And I felt Peter Boyle's performance throughout this section is just very enjoyable because he gives off like just a little bit of a sense of like elitism in his voice throughout this these couple minutes, and it just feels so genuine. It's just so funny. It's
a really good performance, and then also from like the way that the episode is written and the sort of the plot points that Frank has in this episode, it's like a real it's a showcase for everyone, but like Frank plays such an integral role in it and really gets to shine. So it's an awesome Frank episode. But Michael comes over the baby monitor. He's up, he's crying, and Frank hurriedly excuses himself to go check on him. Fights with Ray about going up. No, I'll do it. No, I'll do it. But Frank goes up to check on Michael. And then Robert pulls the next card and asks Ray.
Right. Deborah basically loses is the thing, and then Robert pulls the next card.
He asks Ray if you went back to the coat room and somebody had taken your umbrella, would you take someone else's umbrella if it's a rainy day? And Ray says, no, I wouldn't. And then Robert immediately, I challenge. He goes on this. He has 20 seconds to...
Longer than 20 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say I did like it. I did like the line of just like Robert's like, I challenge him. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, it was in the rules. You guys didn't want me to finish the rules, so I finished the rules. I just thought like his... what's the word I'm looking for? The pride that he took and like I finished reading the rules was just what a good touch. What a good touch. I love Brad Garrett.
And then he goes off on this monologue, which starts with, I recall a rainy day, 1967, and goes on to describe how Ray took his boots, supposedly, on a rainy day, and he had to, for some reason, he had no other shoes, and he had to walk to school, get his socks completely soaking wet, and the kids called him Sasquatch. Sasquish.
I will
Sasquish.
I would have gone with soak squash, but you know what?
Well, that's why I will say, to be perfectly honest, kids in 1967, amazing insults. I'm not saying
very clever.
I'm not saying bullying is good, but I'm saying if you're gonna do it, make sure the jokes are that caliber of quality.
It's a fantastic pun. It's not only is it like a pun, like a good pun where it rhymes with the original word, but it's so appropriate to the situation.
Yes, you're big and you have wet shoes.
Yeah, it's great. It's incredible.
And Robert reveals that the bullying he received on that day because Ray took his galoshes is what inspired him to become a cop. And we've talked about troubling things about Robert being a police officer, but the fact that it's all motivated by getting revenge on 11-year-olds is troubling.
Incredible.
I have a new Robert Barone theory for all those interested. Here is my thought process, right? Robert is the one who suggests scruples.
Mm-hmm.
Robert is the one to he has a straight up defense prepared. He obviously likes this game. Did Robert pick out this card from his own copy of Scruples, put it in his sleeve, and then waited for his turn to then challenge Ray on this issue that has potentially been bothering him for 30 years?
Whoa.
Not
That's
potentially. Deep. It's the core of his entire being.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Certainly possible. Or he flipped through the cards while no one was looking and took it out.
Maybe. Like here's the thing, right? Like there's basically like so few opportunities for Robert to have the whole room and everyone in it just listening to him.
Yeah.
And like this, he had to take his opportunity. I feel like he could have masterminded this just to accuse Ray.
I certainly think that's possible.
And then he goes, but then after Robert's amazing monologue, he then goes and says, Ray, you now have 20 seconds. And he looks at his watch, and Ray says, I didn't take the boots. That's it. I didn't take the boots. And Robert just holds up a hand and says, you gotta wait. And then waits for the conclusion of the 20
Judge
seconds.
Deborah, who would you pick in this?
I was thinking, this is genuinely like a Judge Deborah episode, straight up.
Yeah.
Who would you declare the winner just based on the performances here?
The namesake of Judge Deborah votes for Robert, and I agree. In my opinion, Ray, and I agree with Deborah's reasoning as well. Ray didn't care to argue his case at all. He didn't offer any kind of rebuttal whatsoever other than, he didn't have any evidence that he didn't take the boots. I think as, from a good jurisprudence standpoint, Deborah was right. Robert and Deborah vote against Ray here, and the challenge is successful.
I will say, yes, of course, Robert should have won, but it is revealed later on who actually took the boots.
Right.
But we'll bury the lead on that one. For
Evidence was not submitted, so it can't be brought up in the trial, unfortunately. It's very... The boots thing is very much an OJ situation, is it not?
Do tell, Adam. Please
No.
elaborate.
I
The boots
refuse.
don't fit. Oh, I'm sorry. Should we not?
Marie abstains from voting, which I thought was pretty funny. She says she can't choose between two of her sons.
She basically does throughout the episode. But
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
Frank comes down and Michael's still inconsolable over the baby monitor, right? Is that at this
Yep.
point?
And then Robert goes up.
Right.
No,
well, we get
he
the
goes up later.
explanation.
No, that's now.
We get the explanation as to why Michael is still crying. It's because Frank was playing peekaboo with him in a very upsetting way. So Deborah steps in to take care of him.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Frank sits down, though, and he says he likes the game. It brings families together, and he wants to play. And at that point, though, the TV flickers in for just a second, and that all gets thrown out the window, and Frank, Robert, and Ray huddle around the TV, and some variation of "Come on, baby." Robert says, "Barnaby Jones, Barnaby Jones." Let me give you a little bit of detail about Barnaby Jones.
Oh, yeah, I just thought it was funny.
Private Eye Barnaby Jones, played by Buddy Ebsen, works with his widowed daughter-in-law to solve cases. Buddy Ebsen is best known for the Beverly Hillbillies, but so that's Barnaby Jones. He's a private eye. And then we go to an ad break, and when we come back, Frank is yelling at the cable company on the phone and just letting him have it, and then he hangs up and he says, "That was the first nice lady I've spoken to up there." It's really funny.
It really
I
was.
thought,
I'm with you. The Switch guy chuckled out of me.
But then Marie, it's her turn to pull a card and ask a question, and she asks Ray, "Your elderly mother lives all by herself, and she asks if she can move in with you. Do you agree?" And then Ray refuses to answer at first, and then Frank steals the card and reveals that it actually says, "A coworker has bad breath, do you tell?" Or actually, it goes from Frank to Robert and then to Ray, and Ray reads it, and he says, a coworker has bad breath, do you tell her? So Marie,
Manipulative Marie strikes
extremely
again.
manipulative.
Oh my god! I also just love the beat that is taken in between Marie asking Raymond, "Would you let me stay with you?" and then just Ray and Deborah hearing the question and slowly turning to Marie, just be like, "What?" This is a beautiful. But yeah,
Good job from everyone involved.
Marie makes up this question, and then is
Despite
demanding
letting
an
it
answer.
go,
Yeah.
despite asking the real question, she demands that Ray answer this question, and Ray gives up essentially, and he's like, all right, fine, you can live with us. And then Deborah's look when he says that is withering.
Yeah, I will say that. Okay, so during this conversation, Marie's like, "Well, but why? What? Answer the question. Why wouldn't you stay at me?" She tells everybody that in the scenario, Frank is dead. And also Robert asks the very real question of just like, "Ma, why are you staying with me?" And she's just like, she basically says, I'm not thinking about you.
Let's pretend I only have one son.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Robert, which is just like, in a real life situation, I feel like that would be the smart thing to do, but I mean, he already lives with them, but
Exactly.
that's she forces Ray to make a commitment that he's not ready for at this moment.
I think this is the first real glimpse. Like, we've seen Marie be overbearing, but I feel like this is the first real glimpse of like the extreme relationship that she has with Ray being on full display here, where she's basically manipulating this whole situation to get him to agree to let her live with him, which is, extremely dysfunctional.
It really is.
Very much
And
so.
I understand why Deborah gets upset, and she has every right to be upset. I also understand Ray just being like, I want out of this conversation. This can't be real.
And it's
This
not
is not
like
legally binding.
Yeah, it's not like Marie in like 10 years can like reference this event being like
She will.
Yeah, I know she
Oh, yeah,
will.
she would.
But I'm saying like, like that's not gonna like hopefully a well-developed Ray won't feel like he has to hold to this statement, which was squeezed out of him like he was a lemon and Marie was making lemonade. I don't know. I'm tired.
Like that metaphor.
I like that metaphor.
But Ray and Deborah go into the kitchen at this point, and then Frank starts waxing about, instead of a scenario where he dies and Marie's left alone, he goes and he sails away with Marie's bridge partner, Harriet Lichtman. This is a recurring thing, right? She comes up a
Harriet
couple other
Lichtman.
times. Yeah.
Frank talks about her every now and again.
Oh, does he?
To get Marie
yeah.
angry.
He openly horns after Harriet Lichtman. Meanwhile, Deborah is confronting Ray in the kitchen about telling Marie that she could move in without consulting her at all. Very big decision. And, I like you're saying, Mike, I understand where she's coming from. Like, even if this isn't legally binding, it's like, that's still a discussion that we have to have.
Yeah. You don't want to put that idea in her head, Marie's head,
not.
Right.
that like Ray's okay with it.
Right.
Because he's not. He just doesn't know how to say no to his mom in a room full of his family when she asked a very should be private question.
Exactly. But they go back into the living room, and it's Frank's turn, and he reads a question essentially about would Deborah cheat on Ray? Because she's in Ray's going scuba diving, or snorkeling rather.
Snorkeling.
And Deborah's in the hotel hot tub with a sexy stranger. Would she withdraw her foot from his advances? And she takes a beat and is sort of, she's just making a joke. And she makes a pause and she's like, ooh. And then she's like, yes, of course I would. And then Ray, in what I feel is a very unfair way, interrogates her about that pause. And that exchange essentially boils down to, you're just mad at me because of the other thing, Ray says to Deborah. And Deborah is like, I thought her emoting of being pissed off at him for saying that in front of Marie was really good.
Yeah, I agree. I will say, at this point, Robert's upstairs, right? At some point, he goes up to check on Michael.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
As,
Here's
yeah.
Here's like something else I want to say about. I mean, obviously about that, and kind of you guys touched on it just then, but like Ray, I feel like he's harping on this one because he's super insecure about himself and like everything about him, which, you know, that's whatever, and that's why he's bringing this up. But also, I feel like he wants to feel like he's on the moral high ground after he just got like not targeted, but like confronted. That's the word. Confronted by Deborah for conceding a manipulation to his mother.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I think that's totally right.
He's fishing for a win, and he's playing hardball in not a fair way.
True. Yeah, he says, you're just mad at me because of the other thing. And then Marie says, what other thing? And then Frank correctly keys in on you moving in. And that basically is the fuse that lights the powder keg. And they all start yelling at each other, screaming at each other.
Frank is Marie's like, well, I never liked your mother, Frank. And Frank defends the mom, and they starts a whole other feud. And
it's more than that, too, because she yells at Frank about his mother moving in with them without a discussion, which is like, again,
it's a time machine.
Yeah.
It's a look into their future.
It's like Frank and Marie and Ray and Deborah are on these parallel tracks because of essentially who Ray is and the environment that he puts Deborah in is... it's really, that's like an interesting kernel, I thought. I'm glad that they put that in there.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, it reminds me of like Turkey or Fish, the Thanksgiving episode where Marie admits to Deborah that she's giving her a hard time because her mother-in-law gave her a hard time. It's like she's doing the same thing to Ray. You know, Frank forced his mother on me, and I'm going to force myself on you and Deborah. But they go back and forth. They're all yelling and screaming at each other. And then over the baby monitor, they hear Robert start to sing to Michael.
Yeah.
And
it's a
this
very
is
cute moment.
Absolutely one of those, you know, joke, heartfelt moment.
Completely unironically, completely sincere.
Yeah.
And these moments in the show, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
They're always surprising.
What song does he sing, Adam? I know that you looked it up, right?
Inchworm.
Yes, I did. He
right?
sings this song, Inchworm. It's also known as The Inchworm. It's a song originally performed by Danny Kaye in the 1952 film Hans Christian Andersen, supposedly about that guy, Hans Christian Andersen.
I would imagine.
It's been covered 1 billion times, but I want to play you the best version that I found. No, it's not the Paul McCartney version.
Oh.
It is a version by Jennifer Lee from the 2003 album Jaywalkin', and it is entitled The Inchworm / Inchworm Rap. So I'm going to play you first the Inchworm portion, and then I'm going to play you the Inchworm Rap portion.
And see just how beautiful, yeah, how beautiful, just how beautiful they should.
So that's the Inchworm portion.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's very jazzy, very it's just beautiful to me. It reminds me of like San Francisco, which is where Jennifer Lee made her name.
Oh, well, there you go.
But starting in about 3 minutes, we get the Inchworm Rap. So let me play a little bit of that for you.
Sometimes I feel like a little inchworm, making my way through life, inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, detail by dizzying, worrisome detail. There's no love inside those details. They splinter my consciousness, causing anxiety to rise within me like a tidal wave of urgency. I tell my mind, sit, stay, but it won't be still because it doesn't remember how to be. The quiet packed its bags and left long ago, one day when I wasn't looking. But I'm looking now, and I can't see the marigolds for the inches. I can't see the forest for the trees. I climbed a tree once on a beach in Monterey. I looked.
I'm sorry.
I wish Robert performed that version.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I climbed a tree once on a beach in Monterey. I love that so much. It's so, earnest and what it reminds me of, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Mike Myers movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Nope.
But at the start of that movie, he plays like a beat poet in San Francisco, and he performs this like jazz poem called Woman, where first he's like, woman, and then he's like, whoa, man. And it just reminds me of that. And there's like an upright bass playing the whole time. And I love that. So I highly suggest if you're going to listen to Inchworm, go find Jennifer Lee's version and at least listen from 3 minutes on, because you got to hear that Inchworm rap.
Gotta hear the rap.
Gotta hear the rap.
But yeah, everyone's soothed by Robert's amazing, honestly, very, very nice voice and soothing lullabies. He sings to Michael, and it's an adorable moment between uncle and nephew. And then he cuts back slowly to the entire family crowd around the baby monitor, and Frank says, "Wow, I love that song. You know who taught them that song? My mother." And then everything goes
Yeah,
back
they
to shit.
immediately go back to screaming.
Yeah.
And they're only cut off by a knock at the door.
Yes.
And this is a pivotal moment, it seems, in the Everybody Loves Raymond
Cinematic
fan
universe.
community. Yeah. Because the cable guy shows up from Limbrook Cable, which, of course, is the hyper-local cable provider that only serves Limbrook. If you live on Long Island, your options are Spectrum or Limbrook Cable.
If you live in Limbrook.
And that's it. Spectrum has a monopoly in every other Long Island town.
That's right.
Yeah.
But in Limbrook, it's 100% Limbrook Cable. And
Iron
you're
grip.
legally, this is a parliamentary decree, you are legally forbidden from cutting the cord if you live in Limbrook.
Which explains the following, it would seem.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe. Because
Maybe.
they have an illegal, the cable guy tells them that they have an illegal cable splitter on the roof, which goes across the street to Frank and Marie's. So he slaps them with a $2,500 fine.
Can the cable guy write you up
Apparently.
I guess so.
for illegal cabling?
I guess so, man. I didn't.
I didn't know he had that authority.
It's funny because Frank then tries to bribe him with presumably less than $2,500. Will you accept a 20? But this is important. This little scenelet is important because the cable guy is played by John Manfrotati.
Right.
John Manfrotati would go on to recur on 23 episodes of Raymond as Gianni.
Oh.
It's a real Doug Kevin situation because here he is, or presumably his twin, as the cable guy, and then he goes on to be one of Ray's best friends. So it seems, yes.
Do we get the cable guy's name?
I don't think we do.
Limbrook
He's listed
Cable.
as Gianni/cable guy.
What if off screen Ray uses this billing as a foundation for his friendship with Gianni? What if he's making friends with Gianni right now in this scene and we just don't know it?
The
What if,
problem is I think it gets established later on that they're childhood friends. Is it possible that Gianni's in disguise as a cable guy to sort of reignite that childhood friendship after years of stagnation?
What
It's
if
a really
Ray?
crappy
I
disguise
know.
though?
And then
What
he
if-
doesn't engage with Ray at all.
What if Ray hired Gianni because he knew Frank was stealing his cable, to come in during the thunderstorm to write up Ray with a fake ticket to get Frank to feel bad?
I don't believe that Ray has that intellectual capability, Alex. I'm gonna be
Maybe.
honest.
Maybe it is maybe Frank never gave the $2,700 back at the end of Win, Lose, or Draw. And Frank is paying Gianni $200 to come here and pretend to be a cable guy to get at least some of that money back.
I like that. I like that theory. I also
Did you mean
like
to say, Ray? You said Frank is paying Gianni.
Ray is paying Gianni
Gotcha.
$200 to get some of that money back from Frank.
What if Cable Guy pulls a Leo? It is indeed Gianni's twin brother, but he just gets offed because they don't have the money.
It is a very close amount to the win, lose, or draw amount.
I think that's actually might be. I don't think that was intentional, but I
It
think that
also
might be a good
was-
headcanon.
The amount that Ray spent on the new diamond in diamonds, 2000. It seems like the writers are stuck in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. But let me tell you a little bit about John Manfrotati. He was also on King of Queens. He was in Grilled, by the way, the movie with Kevin James and Ray Romano. He was on Men of a Certain Age, which is Ray's series, one-season series from 2011. Unrelated to Ray, 3 episodes of Mad Men. But he's in Made for Love, which Ray is in. And he's also going to be in Somewhere in Queens, which is the new movie that Ray is producing and maybe co-writing. Let me look.
That's awesome.
If Ray makes an appearance, we got to do a Baroness.
I think we certainly will do a Baroness about Somewhere in Queens, directed and written by Ray Romano.
Okay.
So
yeah, we gotta do a Baroness.
And starring in, hold on a second, in Somewhere in Queens, Ray is playing a character named Leo.
It all comes around. Here we go.
Oh my God! He's bringing back. He's bringing back Leo.
The Everybody Loves Raymond community is about to blow up.
I don't. Okay, you guys have been. I've kind of tangentially been involved in the online communities. You guys have been digging into them. Does anyone ever mention Leo?
Not that I've seen.
No
but
one talks about Leo. Everyone talks about this cable guy Gianni situation. It comes up like every couple months.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, I mean, I think the headcanon is he got Leo'd. That's my headcanon.
Cable guy got Leo'd.
Cable guy got Leo'd and replaced
Gianni
by Gianni.
off screen was mourning the loss of his twin brother, but never brought it up.
It's
and just
an
continued to be
invasion
friends.
of the
Correct.
body snatchers type plot where the cable guy got taken and then an alien came back and implanted memories of Ray being best friends with Gianni. And then just snuck
that's
into
probably
society.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the most likely explanation.
I believe so.
Frank, after the attempt to bribe the cable guy leaves. Frank turns to everyone who's very mad at him and says, "You cannot judge me until you've walked a mile in my shoes." And then Ray, in sort of like he's a very Columbo-esque, like
Euphoric moment.
Yeah.
asks Frank, "What size shoes are those, by the way?" And Frank reveals that he wears a size 12. Robert, at age 11, wore a size 12 watch.
It's just such a funny way to solve this mystery.
I just love the idea that he's always been freaking massive. Yeah.
And Frank, upon being found out, says, "No more games," and storms out. But then Marie, this is a nice little end of the scene, nice little button on the scene. Marie turns to Deborah and she's like, "When I move in, we'll play games all the time."
Yeah.
So I like that conflict is not remotely resolved.
Nope. That is a series-long conflict.
Yeah. Then we go to the hot close where the TV is back on. Ray's watching TV and Deborah's going upstairs and she's like, "I'm going to go to bed unless you want to collect on our deal." And this is when we get Ray jumping up off the couch and looking back and forth between the TV and upstairs, and he legitimately can't decide between good old sex and watching, presumably the game's over at this point. Yeah. But luckily for him, a commercial comes on. He yells "commercial" and runs upstairs. Commercial break is what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Something like that.
Seems about right.
They called him Lightning Ray.
I believe that's another one for the cum counter.
Confirmed.
Oh, I don't like that.
Also, is no one else gonna say like the VCRs existed? Like he could just record whatever he was watching, right?
True.
But you need a physical VHS to record that.
It probably had.
And if he was gonna,
And in a future episode, we learned that he's not particularly careful about.
That could have been the lead into that episode.
There you go.
Where he used that tape this time to tape over the game.
Yeah.
I think if Ray was going to use this opportunity to pop something in, it wasn't going to be a VHS. Hey. So that's that episode. That's season 1, episode 17. It's time for us to rate Ray's performance in this episode as a husband, father, son, brother. On our barometer, it's our patented scale. We talked about Fresh Prince earlier. This is a 1 to 10 scale, where 10 is a man like Uncle Phil, one of the great dads of sitcom history, or Danny Tanner, whereas 1 are the men in television history who actively harm their families. You've got Don Draper, you've got Walter White. Mikey D, where is Ray coming in for you this episode?
Okay. So I will say that one of the things that we've gotten feedback on, both in comments and in person that I've talked to people that have listened to the show, is that we can be pretty hard on Ray, and I don't really care. Sometimes Ray deserves us being hard on him, but I've taken that and I've kind of shifted the way that I approach the barometer. In the past, I was looking for things to knock Ray down for. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, what does Ray do right in this episode? And I try to build him up. I can't think of a single thing that I can point to in this episode that Ray does well. Because sure, as we all know about my opinion on these things, it's good to screw your wife. And he does at the very end, but almost reluctantly. So I can't give him full points for that. I don't think he falls to the level of active harm, but it's everything about this episode, everything about his motivation is very, hate my wife, hate my family. And it's just,
exactly.
I can't find anything to give points on. It's I guess a 3 feels low, a 4 feels too high. I'm going to go 3.5.
3.5. Alex, where are you coming in?
So, I wrote the following. Ray's a dick and does not handle himself properly this entire time. Again, his problem is communicating. He does not even try to enjoy the game and raise it all up. To be fair, the entire family sucks, and his mom tries to manipulate him where there is no easy out of that situation without, upsetting his mom or his wife. There's no win button. Even just pointing out the tactic would not satiate Marie in that state. He sucks. He did poorly. He was a little man child the whole time. Just all around not great. 4.5.
4.5. That's surprisingly high, given what you were just saying. I think.
Yeah, but I was just to further elaborate. I was thinking about last episode as well, and I don't think he was nearly as bad this time around as he was last episode. And I know that's a controversial take because I know you guys scored him a little higher than I did. Actually, I think Adam.
I scored him slightly higher. Adam scored him exactly the same.
Yeah. Adam, I actually brought my score down to tie with yours because I was voicing my disdain with him the whole episode, and I didn't want to be outdone. So, yeah.
For me, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think it's helpful to, just reiterate the ways in which Ray hurt Deborah. He told Marie that she could move in with them without consulting her.
I mean,
he also interrogated her over a momentary pause or joke. He was generally a dick to her and was only motivated by detached, intimate sex. He refused to talk to his wife, and that's the crux of the whole episode. So I'm going to give him like you guys were saying, he was just a dick in this episode. He didn't want to engage with his family. I feel like This is comparable, if maybe not as harmful to diamonds. So I'm going to give him the same rating I gave him there, which is 3.5.
Interesting.
So that comes out to a score of exactly the same as he got last episode, a 3.83. Is that the same as last episode?
3.8.
I think so. Ray's not doing too
No,
hot.
last episode was 3.7.
Okay.
So he's actually going
He
up.
improved very slightly.
Yes.
We'll take it. All right, good for Ray.
All right. Good for Ray, and that's bad for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's our show. That is that episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, and that's this episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. We encourage you, as always, to rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. We encourage you to follow us at Barone Zone on Instagram, like our page on Facebook. Reach out to us at Raymond@postfun.info with a Raymembrance or a Judge Deborah topic. And head over to postfun.info/ads. When you click on those links, we hear those clinks of coins falling into the Barone Zone's piggy bank. Anything else to add, guys?
Nope. Just make sure you leave a rate and review. We love to hear from you guys. We love your feedback. And thanks so much for listening.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us, and the only thing left to say is our classic sign-off. Everybody
Loves.
Raymond.
and we love you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Toodles.